Good evening and welcome to a conversation with the Mutts. I'm Mutt, and
I
this
mean, this is much. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
she got ahead of herself. And tonight's conversation is going to be
Fish tales.
that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna fish story.
Forgot to mute it.
I did. Y'all will have to forgive me. I forgot to mute the. Yeah, there we go. All right, all taken care of now. Sorry about that, folks. But yes, tonight we're going to discuss
Oh, faceless one. I put the remote on the center.
fish stories. Uh, one of these days we will stay on track and get focused. Um, anyway, so as many of you may or may not know, we are from two different parts of the country.
Originally, yeah.
Originally.
Thankfully, we're in the same part of the country now, obviously.
Well, apparently, yeah, I would think so. And
I'm much happier here.
well, and I'm happy that you're here. But I grew up fishing on the ocean, and she grew up.
In landlocked states where I got to fish mostly on ponds.
I was in my 40s before I ever went freshwater fishing for the first time. But I did grow up fishing on the beaches here in the area. I grew up fishing on fishing piers and the occasional offshore boat. One of my fondest memories is when the family would get together. We would have a family fishing trip every summer. Now, my grandparents were very good friends with the uh, owner of one of the local piers here in the area. If you're familiar with the Hampton Roads area, and you've been here for any length of time, you would have heard of the Lynnhaven Fishing Pier. Well, the owner of that pier was friends with my grandfather. They had both driven truck together at one point, and my grandparents would summer there. They would literally take their camper, and it was not 17 feet, and it did not have red glitter all over it.
Nobody bombed it with glitter?
Nobody bombed it with glitter, no.
I'm good for that.
Aren't we proud? And they would literally park it in this. There's a little grove. There was a grove of trees for shade. They would park it there and leave it there all summer. Well, we would go and we would fish on the pier for free. In fact, one of my first jobs was at Lynnhaven Fishing Pier, cleaning up the snack shack.
Yeah, see, by the time I got here, I think Lynnhaven Pier was just a memory.
Yeah, it got washed out. Well, it had closed and then it got washed out by a storm. I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was 2009.
Okay, so it was still here when I moved down, but whether
closed.
it was operating or not is another story.
Right, it was just closed. They've since built up a lot of townhouses and apartment complexes around it, and it just kind of became one of those things where they just did not, it just did not fit the aesthetic that they wanted. But anyway, so we would go down there every year, and we would fish to our heart's content. Well, my mother, yes, Mom, I'm mentioning you. It's okay. Had the dubious distinction of being the quote unquote family bad luck charm. Inevitably, whenever she would come out on the pier, we would all be out on the pier. She'd be back at the trailer. You know, it would be me, my dad, my grandfather, my uncle, you know, whoever else was joining us for that particular fishing trip. And when my grandmother and my mother and one of my aunts would come out, specifically my mother, the fishing would stop cold. We wouldn't catch near another fish for hours. So it got to be a running joke that Mom was cursed. Well, that all changed one year. We had the reverse happen, actually. We were on the pier. We didn't catch anything for like 2 hours, and my grandmother and my mom and my aunt came out. And no sooner did my mother step on the pier, than bang, we were started catching them 2 at a time. So from
Good
that,
for you, Mom.
so from that point on, it was a matter of, okay, now Mom is no longer the cursed. No longer curses our fishing trips is what I'm trying to say. So
You
yeah,
have a good luck charm from then on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the good luck charm, but she no longer had the quote unquote, family curse of being the one to kill all the fishing. I will say that I don't know if you remember Hurricane Gloria or not.
No, I wasn't
Okay.
down here for Gloria.
Okay.
My
Well,
first one was Isabel.
well, Hurricane Gloria came through, and I had a very stubborn grandfather. Very stubborn grandfather. Okay.
Aren't all grandfathers stubborn?
Oh, this one. No, he was a creme de la. He was the creme de la creme of stubborn.
Oh, he took the trophy.
Indeed. There was a picture of him, and actually, my uncle still has the painting, or maybe my aunt has it now. I'm not sure which. That ended up in the paper. He's in one of the Gorton fisherman yellow caps on Lynn Haven Fishing Pier, fishing off the end of the pier, the very end of the pier, in the middle of this hurricane. And
Okay then.
yeah. So yeah, there is a painting of him with him holding the rod and him in the yellow Gorton fisherman cap and coat, and it was it actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure that there will be a family member or two to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the painting also has the newspaper picture accompanying it down in the corner. Yeah, I mean, I could go on all night about fishing stories. He was something else. But like I said, I was well into my 40s before I ever went freshwater fishing. We just didn't consider that fishing. That was drowning bait. I'm going to leave those kinds of stories to this young lady right here next to me, and maybe she can share a few of her stories.
Well, you have been shocked and astounded by the fact that I never fished the Great Lakes.
I kind of did. Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Well, like I told you, you have to realize that my stepfather was not a part of my life when we moved to Wisconsin, where I would have had access to Lake Michigan.
That's fair.
And he was the fisherman of the family, the one that taught me everything.
I see. Okay.
So that explains why that never happened.
Okay. Well, do you have any fishing stories?
I have sort of.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Let's hear it.
I remember we did a lot of ponds. We did a few creeks and not so much rivers. I wasn't skilled at river fishing at all.
That's is that like fly fishing?
No.
Oh, okay. That has always confused me. Fly fishing
my thing is my line is always moving in a river.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a hard time deciphering when it's something on my line and when it's not.
You would have a monstrous time. You would have a monstrous. It does the same thing when you're surf fishing. So.
Okay, but I'm an adult now, so maybe I can tell better than when I was 10.
Captain Starling, how are you? Welcome to the fishing hour. And as captain, you would probably have a few stories of your own. Anyway, go on, babe.
My fishing stories aren't so much about fish.
Okay.
We had gone to a little pond. My stepfather, I don't know how he did it, but somehow he would get connected to these farmers that had ponds on their land.
So aren't you just catching snapping turtles at that point?
No, they had crappie. They had different fish.
Okay, I'm a saltwater guy. What the heck is a crappie?
Captain says he's here to listen.
Okay, no worries.
What's a crappie?
She's gonna Google what a crappie is. She's caught them, but she doesn't know what they are.
I don't know how to explain them. They're like a little sunfish.
Yeah, they're not much bigger than a sunfish. Now, I did catch a sunfish once. Yeah, it clarifies for me.
Okay. Yeah, they had to have been stocked ponds because, like I said, these were on farmland.
That's cheating.
So,
That's in our book. That's cheating.
oh, I didn't stock the ponds.
It's still cheating.
It wasn't my fault that that's where my stepfather took me.
I mean, I'm not blaming you.
But we also did. We also went to some state parks,
Hmm.
and like I said, we did do some creeks, things like that.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, I can understand.
You know, we did try for some bullhead.
It's like a catfish,
bullhead,
right?
yes. Give me just a minute, folks. I'm gonna show him. What's a bullhead?
Yeah, she's talking freshwater fish. She may as well be talking Chinese.
There is a picture of a bullhead.
Oh, but that's a catfish. Okay.
They're closely related.
Yeah, they're cousins to the catfish. Okay, I got you now. I had no clue. Didn't know what
that one's a black bullhead, but yeah.
Oh, why got to be a black bullhead?
Because that's what they're saying. It's a black bullhead as far as the breed.
Oh, that's because it is black. I got you. We're good. Anyway, go on with your story. I didn't mean to interrupt.
My interesting fish tales weren't so much about catching fish. Although I will say I have caught bullhead with hot dogs.
Well, yeah, that's pretty standard. I mean, a bullhead looks very much like a catfish, and catfish are bottom feeders, and they will crush hot dogs. So that I kind of get that. I
don't want to catch a fish big enough to pull me in either, Captain Starling. No.
Trust and believe. I'm going to tell y'all a story about that almost happening to my grandfather in a little bit.
But
I was on the pier when it happened.
We had gone to this little pond, and I was reeling in my line and didn't realize that anything special had happened. And my stepfather had realized that a bullfrog had tried going for my bait as I was reeling in. And he quick turns to me and says, "Land your line out on that pad." I said, "Okay." And magically, I actually managed to land it on the lily pad.
Okay.
Danged if that bullfrog didn't go for my line.
Of course he did.
I managed to reel in a nice looking bullfrog.
Okay, but you do realize that you threw bait on his house. So he was going to go for that bait. That's why. It makes perfect sense.
Yes, but how many people can actually say they caught a bullfrog while fishing? I don't know anybody.
I don't know anybody that's caught a bullfrog while fishing. No. I do know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I will tell you.
Go ahead.
I do know someone who caught a true story, happened in Hampton. I do know someone who caught a seagull, a bluefish, which is a rather large fish, and yes, they are blue. That's probably about the size of your dining room table. They can get up to that size, if not a little larger, and a fishing pole, all at the same time. Now, so we're on the pier, and I'm standing between my grandfather and my father. My grandfather's on my left, and this guy, he starts swearing up a storm that, he just lost his rod. The fish had literally yanked, the blue had literally, and blues are pretty strong, especially when they get to about the size of this table. Kimber. Especially when they get to about the size of your dining room table. So this fish yanks the rod out of his hand and it takes off. Now, this was a true fisherman because he had a wagon, and in his wagon, he had 2 other fishing poles. This dude came prepared to be able to go fish for days or whatever. I don't know. So we're sorry, man. That sucks. It sucks that you lost your, but
hopefully it wasn't too expensive of a pole. Sorry for your
loss. Yeah. So the guy next to him, like a half hour later, cast out, and when he does, he catches, true story, he catches the exact same fish that the other guy had caught. The hook and the rod are still in the fish's mouth. As he's reeling it in, a seagull, a flying rat, flies and gets caught up in the line. So he catches the fishing pole, the fish,
and a
seagull all at the same time. Dude walks over and goes, "Here's your fishing pole back." I was done. I was no more good the rest of the day. I had never seen anything like that in my life.
Now, another time, this was without my stepfather. This was with some friends. We had gone down to Rockford. I forget the name of the state park. Beautiful state park. But we had gone down there and we were fishing. And oddly enough, someone mentioned that they wanted a turtle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm fishing and just relaxing, and I cast my line out. And what do you know?
You catch a
I
turtle.
catch a little painter turtle.
A painter turtle. Okay, cool.
And sweetheart,
Yes.
you're lucky you have me.
Why is that?
Because your woman is a fisher of men.
I don't know that makes me lucky. It makes me scared that you fish after men.
I have
You have a
literally,
man.
I have literally on 2 separate occasions
Caught
men fishing.
Oh. You hooked
I
them.
did not hook them. I
hooked
managed
them,
to
yeah.
catch my line on their line and reel them in.
Oh wow. That's okay. Yeah. That makes you a fisher of men, I suppose. Yeah.
I just
I don't know
chose
what to
to
say to
catch them
that.
and release them.
Okay,
I
so you
wasn't
were doing catch
interested.
and release. Good.
Yes, I was doing catch and release. I wasn't interested.
I was
in trying
getting
to
worried
keep
there
them.
for a minute there. I was truly getting worried for a moment there. Catch and release.
I am I can handle doing catch and release. I don't have to bring home everything I catch.
So do you remember what the very first thing was you ever caught?
Probably some sort of little crappie.
Nurse shark.
Nope.
I
Definitely not.
I was 8 years old. I don't have a picture of the fish, but I have a picture of me, my grandfather, and my father waiting on the boat. We went out on a boat to go fishing. Dad had always wanted to try it, and my grandfather's like, "All right, well, let's go." So the 3 of us went, and they hooked us up with bait and rod and the whole 9 yards. Well, we were going out for something specific. I don't recall what it was, but it was a nurse shark. So here I am, a 7-year-old kid, and all of a sudden my line just does one of these numbers, and the mate on the boat's like, reel, and I'm cranking for all. I'm 7, and I'm cranking for all I'm worth. I'm cranking it.
And I'm sure it's stripping.
Oh yeah, you're hearing it, and then I'm reeling it in. But yeah, this went on for a good little bit, and I finally got tired, and I handed it. He's like, "Here, I got you." So the mate takes it and he reels it in, and just before it gets to the boat, he looks at me and goes, "Do you want to reel this the rest of the way in this? It's a shark. It's a big shark. It really wasn't a big shark. It was maybe 3 or 4 feet, but he goes." But I don't know if you want. He goes, I don't know if you want to reel this in. And I was like, heck yeah, let me get it. So I did get a chance to reel it in. He took a gaff hook, brought it in, broke its nose, and he asked if we wanted to keep it. My grandfather's like, no. Now this was before I knew how good shark steak was. My grandfather was like, "No, we don't want it." So they gave it to somebody else.
Oh,
yeah. My dad. Well, we didn't eat shark. I love a good shark steak now.
I've never tried. I've never had the opportunity.
I would love a good shark steak. But yeah, so here I am, this 7-year-old kid. My very first fish was a nurse shark. So yeah.
Now I have the only other weird thing, if you will, and it's not that weird down here.
What's that?
Oyster toad.
Yeah, that's not weird.
No,
that's not weird.
For those of you that don't know, oyster toad are poisonous. You do not touch them with your bare hand. You always make sure you're grabbing them with a rag because they are poisonous. They're nasty little things. They look like tadpoles on steroids. That sum them up well.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah.
I have my stepfather. When I was younger, he got to a certain point with me. He says, "You will learn to bait your own hook, or you will not fish anymore."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I learned how to bait my own hook with worms, and I think I learned how to put my minnow on. We rarely fished with minnows.
I
They're little fish. They're
I know
about
what
like
a minnow.
that.
I
You hook them
know.
through the eye.
I know what a minnow is. We just never.
Okay.
They're not something we use here.
Right.
Here we use bloodworms and we use squid.
Right.
And we
And
use cut bait.
the one time I got the
And hot
oyster
dogs.
toads. The one time I got the oyster toads is the one time I did brackish.
Oh,
So other than that, I've done all freshwater.
we get a lot of brackish around here, though. You do know that,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
It was the James River.
Okay.
The James River Pier.
Mm-hmm.
We had some friends that decided they were going to go up there and pay to do the, where you can go for up to 24 hours, and we were just going overnight.
Right.
So I got invited, and I said, why not?
Right.
Grabbed my stuff and went with.
Right.
And I asked what we would be using as bait, and they told me, and I'm like, okay, well, I've got to learn how to cut this squid.
Yep.
So they taught me, and I did not have one problem. I learned how to cut it, and I learned how to put it on my hook without a problem.
There you go.
So, but those nasty, nasty oyster toads, oh God.
I'm proud of you.
I did manage to catch, I believe, one croaker the whole night. Other than that, it was all those oyster toads.
And for those of you
and
who
let
don't,
me tell you, those croakers,
hold on,
me out for a minute.
Hold on. For those of you who don't know, a croaker is a fish, and yes, they croak like frogs.
Yes, and that tripped me out because I had no idea that they made that noise.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can have. We used to fish for spot, and usually, and a spot is they're about frying pan size. If they're a good sized fish, they get to about frying pan size. They're a white fish and they have a lot of bone, but they tend to run in schools with croakers. So if you catch a spot, more than likely you're going to catch a croaker. And we used to have this ribbit. We're like, looking in there, and it's the croaker going off. But yeah, there's always, it's just
croaker.
Yep.
It pulled up Kroger.
Pulled up Kroger's grocery. That's funny. So yeah, I meant to tell you. I said I'd tell you about the bluefish and my grandfather almost getting pulled in.
There's a place called Croker's.
Mm-hmm. It's over on Short Drive, I believe.
There's several of them.
Yeah. Well,
there's one in Petersburg. There's one in Richmond.
I believe the original is over on Short Drive. But my grandfather, now blues tend to run at the end of the summer and into early fall. They tend to, right after the spot and the croaker run, you're going to get your blues to run, and they're a much larger game fish. My grandfather.
That is
a croaker. That is a croaker.
Can I do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
For those that you can see it, I'm seeing it on the screen. So
okay.
That is a croaker.
There you go. There's your croaker, ladies and gentlemen. And so we went out blue fishing, and I was never one. I don't like bluefish. It's not a good tasting fish to me. I just don't care for it. I'll eat a croaker all day long, crush some spot, but I'm just not a big bluefish guy. But they're a good game fish. If you want a fish that's going to fight, you want a bluefish. So my grandfather, he's reeling one in, right? And it's a good size. It's a good size blue. And he reaches down. Now my grandfather grew up. I grew up in a family of fishermen, oystermen, fishermen, the whole 9 yards. Grew up in a family of these. So you would think he would know better. No, he reaches down and instead of grabbing the gill, he grabs the bottom lip of this fish. And when he does, the fish bites down. Well, not only now does he have the bluefish in there, but a barb from the hook went into the side of the figure. So he's got on the top of his thumb is the bluefish tooth, and the side is
a barb from
a barb. Yeah, it was not pretty, ladies and gentlemen. It was not pretty. That fish he ended up pulling it. What did the gas? He reached over, grabbed the gas, pulled it in, and he cut the bottom lip of the fish off. No, he was gonna keep it anyway, so it didn't matter. But yeah, we ended up having to. He ended up taking a pair of pliers and he cut the barb out. Now this talk about a tough old man. He didn't bother. He's like, no, we ain't going to the hospital. We just go. He he threw a towel on it, wrapped it with some duct tape or whatever it was he had, and we just kept right on fishing. But I'm like, well, good Lord.
For those of you, here's what a crappie looks like.
Go that way towards you a little bit. There you go.
No, I have to go toward the light.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's a crappie.
Yeah, so we, like I said, I grew up on the water. I grew up around the water. I grew up fishing. Like I said, one of my first jobs was at the Lynn Fishing Pier. She's here to listen. So it was one of those things where we just were always fishing. Have you ever been to now? I know you've probably been to a Catholic fish fry, but have you ever been to a Southern fish fry?
I don't think I have. No.
Oh, we're going to have to fix
it. Yes.
We're going to have to fix this.
I have not been to a Catholic. Yeah, I have been to a Catholic church fish fry in Arizona. That is not a Catholic church fish fry. After living in Wisconsin, that does not count.
That doesn't count.
No. I have not been to a Catholic church fish fry in Wisconsin, which is where it would count.
Right.
I have been, for example, in Beloit, there is a restaurant up there called the Glen Club.
Mm-hmm.
Locally, they are known for their fish fry.
Mm.
And it isn't, let me tell you, when they say, hello, Steel and Tree.
Hey, how are you, buddy? What's good? Long time no see. I need to get up with you. Celtic Mutt 1970 at Gmail. I have some questions for you in regards to craft, some of the crafting stuff you do. Please email me. Again, it's Celtic Mutt 1970 at Gmail. This man does some amazing
I'd love to see some
rock work. He does, he carves stuff out of rock, and it's just, oh my God, it's amazing.
When you do a Wisconsin fish fry, first of all, they don't just do them during Lent.
Right.
Fish fry is a year-round event up there. Second of all, they don't just do, here's your plate, have a good night. It is an all-you-can-eat fish fry.
Oh, yeah.
No, out in Arizona, it's here's your plate, enjoy your dinner.
No.
Unless you go and they have too much. And then, if anybody wants more.
Sadly, you were joining the family after a number of the fishermen in the family have since passed on. Okay. So we have not had a...
Okay, but you're talking a family event.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I have been... It's Iowa, but I have been to a family fish fry. It's not a Southern family.
Can indeed, Steel. I will definitely take care of that for you. Give me 1 sec. I'll put it right in here.
I thought you were talking about like with the church or
something. Oh no, I am talking about a family fish fry, a true Southern family fish fry. We have not had one in many years, but we need to have one.
That would be wonderful. But no, when I lived in Wisconsin, believe you me, Friday night, everybody and their brother was going out to a restaurant for a Friday fish fry.
That doesn't count. I'm sorry. In my opinion,
and,
that's not.
But they were delicious. Oh, they stopped in Arizona. No offense. They do what they gotta do, what they can do.
They're landlocked and live in the desert.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, what do you mean by it doesn't count?
What? Arizona fish fries?
No, the Wisconsin fish fry.
because
compared to a southern family style.
it doesn't. There's no comparison. They're landlocked, and it's
Well,
and it's
But
it's
it's not.
it's fresh water. I don't like freshwater fish. For me, let me rephrase that. For me, it doesn't count. I don't particularly, other than catfish.
right.
Don't serve me fresh fish because I'm gonna look at you like you're nuts.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. With Wisconsin, you got the water right there.
But it's not. It's not. It's fresh water,
Yeah, it's not salt water. It's not
Right.
ocean.
and it's not even brackish.
But even if you go to the restaurants, they're all getting their fish fresh.
Captain Starlink, pardon me, Sealink. I lived in Beloit, Janesville. I lived in Milwaukee. I went to school in Clinton. I know a lot of that's small town, but in small city. I did live in Madison for a while.
Steel and Tree, I am on a 2-week reprieve. I don't have to go back for my 7th treatment until the 7th of March. It allows my platelets to build back up. But when I went this past Thursday, and I'm quoting the physician's assistant, she said that my platelet count was, and I quote, perfect.
I am familiar with Mauston a little bit, Starlink.
So,
yes.
I other than the occasional bout of nausea, and apparently pork is off the menu until after this is done because it just does not agree with me. So no pork chops for me until well after, which is killing me. But I'm doing okay.
Cool, Steel and Tree.
What was he saying?
He's got family in Sun Prairie in the forest area in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I haven't. Y'all are talking about that. You're speaking Japanese to me again.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just don't know the area.
Madisonian.
Well, Madison.
I knew I'd get a dirty look for that. He hates Madison.
You won't. I will never again go to Madison. The last time I went to Madison, I got arrested and unarrested within a half hour for speeding. That's ridiculous to me that the cop wanted me to pay the ticket on the spot because I was out of state.
That's not how that works.
Yes, it is. Yes,
On
it
the
is.
spot?
On the spot. He wanted me to pay the ticket because I was an out-of-stater. Basically, in my opinion, I think what he was trying to do is now, mind you, this was a $236 speeding ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. I was doing 88 miles an hour. When the cop asked me, he goes, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I said, "Yeah, 88. I go, "What did you have me clocked at?" He said, 88. He goes, "How did you know how fast you were going?" I said, "Because I set my cruise control about an hour and a half ago." I wasn't going to lie to the cop. I straight told him. But yeah, I got arrested and unarrested in a half hour's time after he ran 2 of my credit cards, which were maxed out at the time. And he's like, "Well," he goes, "I'm gonna," and when I went to hand him the third one I handed him my my security license, and he goes, "Oh, okay, it's one of those situations." He goes, "I'll tell you what, as a professional courtesy," this is exactly what he says, "as a professional courtesy, I'm going to go ahead and just write you the ticket and let you go, but you have to promise to pay the ticket." All right, cool, no problem. So that's what he did, and I paid the ticket. But yeah, it was a professional courtesy. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't think I've ever heard of an encounter where a cop pulls someone over and says, "I can write you a ticket, or you can pay me."
no. He basically said
It was, "You have a ticket, pay now."
Yeah, it was right. It's you have a ticket. It's going to cost $236, or you're going to jail for the weekend because this was on a Saturday and the court didn't open again until Monday. I go, "Well, I don't have $236 on hand right now," and he wanted cash.
Right.
And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, dude. Yeah, we're not playing this game." I go,
That sounds like extortion of an out-of-stater.
"That's exact. Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
Where he can get rid of the ticket.
Ding, 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 ding." Exactly. Why do you think I hate Madison, Wisconsin? I'm never going back to Madison. I would never again in my life go to Madison, Wisconsin. You know why I pulled? Yeah. He asked me that. He goes, "You know why I pulled you over?" I said, "Yeah, because I was speeding. I was doing 88 miles an hour in a 65."
But you see, boy, Steel and Tree says you got pulled over. You're hoping I have donuts in here.
If I'd had donuts, he'd have probably let me go on the spot. But anyway, so where was I? We were talking about fishing.
Fish fry.
Oh,
Is
the
where
family
we were
fish
at.
fry. Yeah. So I told you we had 2 fishing piers that we tended to
Mhm.
attend to. So we went to the one in Hampton. It was much quieter. It got to the point where it was much quieter than the one at Lynn Haven. Because as they were building up around Lynn Haven, it got more and more busy. It got just more and more crowded. It was a pain. But the one over in Hampton was much quieter. So that's where my grandparents decided to go. So my Nana was like, this weekend when we get back on Sunday, we're going to have my aunt and uncle from Oregon we're in. We're going to have a big family fish fry. Okay, cool, no problem. So it was 2 of my uncles, my dad, my grandfather, my mom, the Lucky Charm, me, and a couple of my cousins. We were all out on the pier. Well, I decided I didn't want to fish. I love to go crabbing. Crabbing was my thing. I love to crab. I love to fish too.
Here we go with the crabbing stories.
Yep. So
well, you're gonna have to go crabbing at some point and make me some crab so I can have some.
Okay, we can do that. I'm gonna have to leave chicken out for about 2 days in the sun, Alex. And that's exactly what I did. I put it on the picnic table behind the trailer, behind the camper. I mean, and I left it out there for like 2 days. So it's Sunday, just before, like, we went really, really early in the morning before we left. And my grandfather's like, there's no way you're going to be able to catch enough crab to feed all of us. Now, they'd already filled 2 coolers of fish. Not little coolers either. Not igloo coolers. I'm talking the big party coolers. Coleman's, yes, 2 of them. And so they'd already filled them to the brim and had them packed in ice and ready to go. He was like, there's no way you're going to be able to catch enough crab. I go, trust me, I got this. I took 4 crab pots. Now, when I opened this chicken, it had been sitting in the sun
for 2 days
in Virginia in July.
Okay, remind me not to come anywhere near you when you do this.
Yes.
Or at least if I do, to treat it like I'm I'm an ME going near a homicide and make sure I'm smearing my Vicks.
100%. You want to put Vicks under your nose if I'm getting anywhere near. Yes. So I tied, and I tie it off, and then I wash my hands because this chicken had been in the sun so long it had damn near liquefied. Okay. So I throw the first pot in.
If I have to dash to the bathroom right quick, you folks know why.
I tied the second one off. I tied the third one off. I tied the fourth one off.
Poor stealing tree.
What?
Probably smelled better than his ex.
And definitely smelled better than Sparky. But anyway. Boom. Anyway, so by the time I tie off the fourth one and throw it over, I go back to check the first one. 5 crab. Pull it up, dump them in, and these crab were like this, which are keepers in Virginia. They've got to be at least that big in order to keep.
Now, is that just their body, or is that if they pull their legs in?
That's if they pull their legs in, they got to be that big.
Okay.
So these were good sized crab. I pulled in 5 of them. Check the second pot. There's 3 in that one. Pulled the third pot. It went like this for like 2 hours. Like
constant rotation.
I think I had maybe 3 times that I checked the pots that I didn't have anything. Okay. By the time we left the pier, I had 4 bushels of crab. My grandfather comes over to me. He goes, I have never in my life seen that done before in quite that fashion. He goes, my hat's off to you. That was the one time he paid me a compliment. I mean, he loved me to death. Don't get me wrong. But as far as my fishing prowess or my crabbing prowess went, that was the one time he paid me a compliment. He goes, I've never seen that done. We had crabs like you wouldn't believe. Oh my God. I to this day, it is one of my most fond fishing family fish fries was that one, because I was finally able and old enough to help contribute to the damn thing and didn't just have to eat. What did I miss? Am I?
No, you didn't miss anything there. You have to understand. I watched something earlier on Facebook, and it was talking about how kids' songs
Mm,
were made to entertain the
Adults.
adults.
Yeah,
while the
absolutely.
kids watched
yeah,
them.
it's 100%.
And it was this
Mm.
video that they showed about how it was this kids clap song,
Mm.
and it was, I got the clap, let me give it to you, or something like that.
Oh, that's kind of like North Dakota or South Dakota. Their motto a
Right.
couple of years ago was "Meth, we're on it."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here it is.
No.
I got the clap, I'll give it to you. And this whole, 4 guys all singing this and clapping, and
Yeah, and this has.
and then at the end of it, it was make sure to wash your hands after getting the clap. You don't want to spread germs. And then here you are talking about we had crabs for days. Or
yeah, crab.
So yeah,
We had crab to eat for days.
I'm sorry.
Comedian.
You can see what happened.
10,000 comedians out of work, and this one over here wants to be funny, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, it's not
What?
ADHD, but sometimes my mind just kind of goes there.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know what.
Sometimes I suspect ADHD, but I've never been diagnosed, so my mind just goes there.
Where'd you get 80 of them?
And that, for those of you who don't know, is the faceless roommate. So what other fishing stories do you have? I'm dying to know.
That's really it.
So you've caught men.
I've caught men. I've caught turtle. I've caught frog. I will tell you.
Have you ever caught a fish?
Yes, I have caught fish too. As a matter of fact, someone from church that we used to know, you and I both.
Yeah.
I caught my biggest fish on his property.
Oh, okay.
I think you might have seen that picture at one point on my Facebook. That's interesting. Stealing crab or stealing
crab. Oh no, she did not.
Sorry, stealing tree.
She just insulted Eric. Oh my God.
Sorry, stealing tree. My brain.
It's over. It's done. She just
And I was not thinking pansies. I was thinking fishnet tights.
Stealing tree. Poor guy. He's a good guy. Why are you picking on him? Stealing tree and talking about his crabs and his panties? He doesn't have either that I know of.
Okay, do I just need to go out and have a cigarette and be done for the night?
No.
Thank you for understanding, stealing tree.
Oh my God. Anyway, we are.
I promise the worst I've had all night has been soda. There has been no alcohol in my system.
She just doesn't know it.
Oh, you've been fighting my Mountain Dew?
No, I have not spiked your Diet Mountain Dew. Speaking of Mountain Dew, never mind. Now I will tell you that you.
I will give it to you. It wasn't my fishing story, but I was involved. My turtle that I caught, the body of it was only about yay big. An ex of mine, when I lived in, I don't think either of y'all that were asking me about Wisconsin have probably ever heard of Chaupier. It's an itty bitty village kind of between Beloit and Clinton. But I was living out there, and an ex and I were out there fishing.
Right.
And he yells at me, "Quick, grab the net, I got a turtle." And I'm thinking, turtle.
No.
The head of the turtle was like this.
That was the head.
It was a snapper.
Oh, yeah.
The neighbors used it and made turtle soup. Unfortunately, we never got a taste of it. But I would have loved to have tried it.
Now, are you familiar with South Norfolk at all?
Roughly where it's at. Don't think I've really
there's
been
a
there.
park in the middle of South Norfolk. I can't remember the name of the park right now to save my life. I've been there 100,000
I
times, but
might have been to the park once
yeah,
or something.
but they've got a pond.
Yeah, I'm thinking I've been there
Yeah,
once.
and it's got a bridge over it, and
Okay.
so now again, a lot of these stories happened when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Now we were fishing on the bridge, okay, and I was using hot dog for bait. I remember that. And the guy that was next to me, his rod literally doubles, and I thought it was going to snap. He pulls up the head and shoulders of this thing, and they were like this. The head and shoulders of this it was a snapper. It turned out that later on in the season, somebody else actually pulled it in, and it was the biggest one that the state had seen in like 50 years.
Oh wow!
It was huge. It was massive. The thing was, yeah, it was ridiculous how big that snapper was. If we had pulled that in, it'd have been we'd have been bait.
Well, I can tell you that same axe worked for a place in South Beloit, which is actually in Illinois. For a place called Pearl Lake, which is actually it used to be a sand
Sand quarry?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Apparently can't remember the word quarry tonight. All I could come up with quandary.
It's okay.
Sand quarry that they had a spring.
Uh-huh.
And so they decided, well, as long as it's going to fill with water, we're going to stock it. And somebody, after they stocked it, well, when they bought it, they stocked it. They made it into a little resort area with a campground, and there's a restaurant and a snack bar and a swimming area.
Right.
And
they turned it kind of into a mini resort.
Yeah, but they have sunk several different things there for scuba lessons.
Have they sunk a
17-foot trailer?
A 17-foot glitter trailer?
No, but they have sunk a kitchen, a full kitchen.
For those of you who know, you know.
They have sunk aircraft.
What?
Yeah, they've sunk small aircraft in there.
I guess that makes for natural.
They had somebody that got scared out of because he went down there to swim.
Uh-huh.
He came out of there, stripped off his gear, and went running into the restaurant and went to the owner because he thought there was a alligator in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concrete alligator. But you can sit on the top, on the deck of the snack bar.
Mm-hmm.
And literally you can watch where the women will take, and I say women, I'm sure men do it too, but it's mostly women. They will take their rafts out to the middle rope line and anchor themselves to that middle rope line and lay on their rafts to sunbathe. And you can literally watch these huge fish come up and shade themselves under these rafts. And they had redone it.
So are these fish worried about getting sunburned?
Yes, they are. No, they're enjoying the cooler water.
Okay.
Wait,
do some fish get sunburned?
I don't think so.
That's a question for the chat. Do sunfish get sunburned?
I think the water reflects the sunlight off and prevents that.
I need to know.
But
I'm an inquiring mind.
They had restructured. I don't want to say redecorated. They had restructured.
Renovated?
I wouldn't say renovated either because it's a swimming area.
Okay.
And built a bridge
over troubled waters
across from one side of the swimming area to the other.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm in a really weird mood tonight.
Yeah. I can tell.
Bridge over troubled waters.
And we had been allowed to go into the swimming area when it wasn't open. He worked there, so he had an in with the owners.
This was the ex.
Yeah. So we actually ended up laying on the bridge with our hands in the water, and we're kind of playing with the fish. A lot of little, crappies and such. And bluegill. That was another one that I used to catch all the time. And I had a ring. These little guys would come up and nibble on the stone in my ring.
That's funny. That is funny. Do you remember when I worked at the aquarium? Do you remember Fred?
Yes, I remember Fred. Who could forget Fred? Oh, good Lord. Who could forget Fred?
Fred was for those of you who don't know, there is a species that is very similar to a stingray called a skate. Okay. And
basically, don't they look the same except they don't have the
barb.
The spike.
They don't have the barb at the end of their tail,
tail.
And they don't get near as big.
Right.
They're much smaller. Well,
Fred is the friendliest little thing.
Well, with me, he was. He didn't like many other people.
Well, he came to me quite often, too.
We'll talk about... I wanted to see if you were familiar with any wood burning. Anything to do with wood burning, because that's something I would like to try to get into at some point. And I know that you do a lot of the stuff similar to that. So I was just curious if that was something you would be familiar with. But anyway, so for those of you, I used to work briefly at the Virginia Aquarium in Virginia Beach as a photographer. And on my lunch breaks, I would go into the display fractal burning. I would go into it was actually the children's area where it was kind of like they would be allowed to pet the skates and that kind of thing.
And touch tanks
the
where you
horseshoe crabs and that kind of thing. Well, Fred was
starfish.
Yeah. Well, Fred tended to be a bit aloof with the children because they were
a little more aggressive than he may have liked.
Right. They were, and they don't like fast movements. So I never will forget. I would go in on my lunch break, and I would stand at one end of the tank, and I would put my hand on the top of the tank, and I'd lightly tap it 3 or 4 times and go, "Hey, Fred, come here. Hey, Fred, come here. Hey, Fred." Inevitably, every time, Fred would come down, and I would pet Fred, and the kids would, yes,
Steel and Tree.
Yes, 100% yes, Steel and Tree. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And so the kids thought I don't know, they thought I was magic or something. They thought
they thought you knew Fred personally and had a.
Well, I did.
Well, they thought you had a
special bond.
Spiritual, special.
Yeah, no. Well, Fred was I just knew how to talk to Fred. Fred was very cool as long as you were calm and just didn't get freaky, But yeah, that was, I won't forget it. That was always a lot of fun.
Yes, Fred was awesome. Yeah. I miss Fred.
Yeah, she didn't believe me. She didn't believe me the first time I told her.
Fred would he would come sailing by and he would lift up one of his sides.
And pat the tank. He would pat the tank.
And pat the
side of the tank.
Or he would swim by just raising that one side up as he went by you, like saying hi.
Yeah. But yeah, she didn't believe that I could get Fred to come visit me, so I had to prove it. So yeah,
I used to love hanging out there with you.
It was a lot of fun. I still have a lot of the pictures from that. The sharks and the Komodo dragon.
That monster of a lobster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was his
I
name?
swear you could eat if you were lucky enough to get that lobster out of there. You could eat on him for days.
I think he was like 200 years old.
Oh my God.
I don't remember. I think they estimated he was somewhere in like 200, 250 years old. It was ridiculous.
He was monstrous.
He was huge. He was a big boy. He really was. But yeah, and then there was Komodo dragons that when
They
we were,
got twins that they weren't expecting.
they had a set of twins that were born while I was working there. But yeah, I also used to like to hang out with the
Otters.
well,
I
yeah,
love
the
watching
otters.
the
The otters
otters.
were cool. The Frick and Frack. Yep, Frick and Frack were their names. And Frick actually escaped at one point. Frick escaped, and he ended up down at the beach carnival. He followed the water line and ended up in, you know how they had that giant ball that you could climb into and try to walk on the ball? He ended up in that tank. We had to actually close the park briefly. I was also a carny for a time as well. In fact, they thought it was funny because I worked as the carny after I worked at the aquarium, and I walked in and I went, Frick. And they were like, what? I go, that's Frick. He belongs to the aquarium. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I go, that's Frick from the aquarium. I go, his twin is Frack. And they're like, they thought I was pulling their leg. Truth is, I was a dead on. They called the aquarium. They come down, and the guy that actually handled the otters, I had gotten to know, and he was like, Scott, how are you? You know, long time no see, blah, blah, blah. He goes, you recognize? I go, of course I recognize Frick. It was just funny. So yeah, I've had a lot of strange and unusual experiences. Got to know a lot of strange animals. And some not so strange, beautiful women. So next week, we're getting ready to wrap up here, folks. Next week, we are actually going to discuss
the sweet and bubbly and softer side of soda.
Yes, we're going to discuss the myths and legends of different sodas like Dr. Pepper and Pepsi and Coca-Cola and those things, and see how many of the alleged myths are true and how many of them are not. We've just decided we were going to do some lighter shows here in the next couple of weeks, just because, well, to be honest,
we've done some heavy stuff.
Yeah. And I'm going through some heavy stuff with all this health stuff, so I just need to keep it light. So please feel free to join us. If you have any suggestions,
yes, definitely.
If you have any suggestions, my email was put in the chat earlier. Please, 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 please feel free to send us an email. Give us some suggestions on future shows. We are not above taking suggestions for shows. We do like to keep it to America in our American history, at least for now. Maybe down the line we will progress past that, but right now I think that's kind of what we've agreed to. We have appreciated each and every one of you who has come, and to the 4 of you who have stuck around. Oh, now it's 3, but to the 4 of you who have stuck around, thank you.
At some point, one of our oftentimes listeners, viewers, I'm not sure what the proper title is here, subscribers,
listeners, it's who I think it is, family member.
Yeah. And I are planning on unveiling our new show. We don't have a date yet. We do have a title for the show. Chatty Chicks.
I have something to say. She better not have a date unless it's with me. I'm just saying. That's my opinion. Just saying. Anyway.
We don't have a debut date.
There we go.
How's that? We don't have our debut dates scheduled yet. We believe we have our first topic selected, although I have to do some research.
I would hold off on announcing that.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But as we get a date set, we will be making an announcement on that. And like I said, we do have I believe we have our title of the show of Chatty Chicks.
And since I am definitely not a chick and I'm too ugly to be female, I will not be a part of that show other than to be on the other side of the camera listening. So I will be in the chat with you good folks. So,
Well, you'll be our moderator.
well, yeah. So until next week, gang, please take care of yourselves and each other, and make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. It does help. We will see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed.
Bye, gang.
Oh,
Hey!
Captain Dan just joined.
Hey, Dan, you just came in at the last minute, bud. I'm sorry, but hey, you can always catch the replay. But
And I don't know that I saw Angel, but I know she said she was going to be here.
yeah, I don't think I saw her either. But I think she's got some stuff going on. So, all right, gang, everybody take care. We are definitely out of here. Be good or be good at it. Your choice.
Or both.